So, you know, you're a punk rock musician, and eventually you realize, geez, this is so nihilistic. I mean, we're not getting anything done. What am I going to do with my life? I know. I'll become a Zen Buddhist priest. Well, actually, that's what happened to Brad Warner, who is an ordained Zen Buddhist priest and who was a punk rock musician. And he wrote the book Hardcore Zen and has a new book out now called Sit Down and Shut Up, which should immediately give you the sense that this is not your father's Zen Buddhism. Yeah. This is a little different. Yeah. Just for starters, you write that there might be a few people out there who would be interested in Zen if only it weren't presented in such a wimpy, nerdy fashion. Now, without meaning to put down others who present it, what is Zen Buddhism in a way that might relate to those other people?
Well, it's just a totally realistic approach to life. That's what I find really compelling about it. When I first started hearing about it, I was interested in religion, but every religion I looked into seemed to be about escaping life and going somewhere else, like going to heaven or going to Krishna Loka or some, you know, whatever they propose that you want to go to get out of this life. And what Zen was about was this life I was really living, and that's what was compelling to me.
Well, you're in an art form as a punk musician, which is really about expressing anger. I think that was the driving force behind a lot of punk rock. How do you transform from anger into whatever it is that as a Zen Buddhist you're expressing or experiencing?
Well, the thing about anger is just to see what anger really is. You see that you have this idea that anger is something out there that's apart from yourself, or that because our language forces us to say, I am angry, so you separate I and anger. And when you actually turn back and look at yourself, which is what you're doing when you're doing this meditation practice, you see that anger and yourself are not really two different things, and that can be a very mind-blowing or troubling experience even.
Well, you're saying that inherently anger is you?
Well, when you're angry, anger is what you are. Yeah. So at that moment, anger is what you are, and when you see that, you can actually do something about it. The anger just comes up. You can't really help when that little flash of anger comes up, but what you can help is not feed into it. Because when you feed into it, you're building up this idea of self that really gets in the way of doing something constructive about whatever it is you're mad about.
Okay, so tell us your story. So, you know, you're out there playing bass guitar one day, and you say, I know, I'll become a Zen Buddhist?
Well, not quite that simple, but kind of like that. I was in the punk rock scene in Akron, which is a very socially committed scene. We were into this thing called straight edge, which you don't drink, you don't do drugs, and all this very almost monastic discipline that people had. And what I felt was going on was it was losing its way, and also it wasn't taking its own philosophy serious enough. We had built a society, this little miniature society, that was trying to change the world, but we were just imitating what everybody else was doing when you got really deep down into it.
So in other words, you had good intentions, but somehow weren't really showing any tangible results.
That's right, yeah. Not too many results, and we weren't really going far enough with it. We were questioning society, but we weren't questioning how we were an expression of the society we were questioning. Okay, we just kind of assumed we were different.
So where did Zen Buddhism come in?
I was a student at Kent State University, and I'd been interested. I grew up partly in Nairobi, Kenya, in Africa, when I was a kid, and we came back to Ohio when I was 11, and I'd been exposed to Indian culture, and I was very, very interested in studying something about Indian religion. So I saw there was a class called Zen Buddhism, and this teacher, this little skinny guy named Tim McCarthy was the teacher, and he read a thing called the Heart Sutra, which has this line that says, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. And when I heard that, I thought, that's right. I don't know what that means, but that's right.
What does that mean?
Yeah. That was the thing. But I just felt intuitively that there was something right about that line in the sutra, even though I had no idea what it meant. So I spent the next 20 years trying to figure it out.
Went to Japan, got ordained, and now if you want to find out how form is emptiness and emptiness is form, you can go to hardcorezen.blogspot.com, or you can pick up the book, Sit Down and Shut Up, or the earlier book called Hardcore Zen. Yeah. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We very much appreciate it. And still performing, by the way.
Yep.
Still out there
Still rocking out.
Okay. Oh, by the way, and his group is called Zero Defect.
Zero Defects, yeah.
So, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Marty, Isabel, back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Henry.